What's up guys, Nate here. This is a video that's going to be kind of a part one of a many part series. If you like this in the end, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. It really helps me out. And I usually do a video a week, but I'm just going to try to pump these out there because there are a lot of new collectors like you out there. Even if you're a seasoned collector, this might help you out. This is kind of like a little mini series to help more of the newer collectors though. So I'm going to explain it and just jump right in. So part one is going to be how to collect or start collecting Pokemon cards. And part two is going to be more like how to buy Pokemon cards or what I do to buy Pokemon cards. Then how to store Pokemon cards or decide if you want to grade them or not. And finally, the last part is going to be how to sell the Pokemon cards. So there might be a couple more parts sprinkled in there as I think about more stuff that I need to share with you guys. But that's going to be kind of the general layout. And all this really is, guys, is my style of doing things. So if you're new to the hobby, welcome. And it's such an exciting time to be in Pokemon. It's such an exciting and loving hobby in general. But let's hop on into it. So how do I start collecting Pokemon cards? You've probably, if you're new around here, heard about all the news about Pokemon. Maybe you used to collect Pokemon. You're seeing all this news that's getting you back into Pokemon. Whatever the case may be, you're faced with a huge challenge right now of collecting Pokemon cards, and especially in this crazy market. The market is just insane right now. For the record, we have never seen prices close to this yet. We've kind of seen it coming for a couple of years now, kind of talked about when it's happening, but even longtime collectors like myself, I really don't think we have seen this insane of a swing so fast. It almost kind of caught us off guard in a way. But so that's basically the thought behind this, is like, I really want to help you guys because you guys are facing a huge challenge here hopping into the hobby. So that being said, I want to give a little background information on the hobby. So basically when everyone collected way back when, hobby was thriving and whatnot. But when we got more into Gen 3 or so after the Neo sets, we call it the WotC era, is when the original sets were out. Anything from base set all the way up to Skyridge, which is basically Gen 1 and 2, that was considered a product of Wizards of the Coast. It was the company that used to make the cards for Pokemon, and that is the Wizards of the Coast era. That's most likely the era that everyone is going to want to collect. That is the era that everyone wants to have, hold, grow up with, and flip or sell or do whatever with. Everything that you think about the Pokemon hobby, your first thoughts is probably going to the Wizards of the Coast era. Now, the problem with that today is that that stuff, as of last month, has just blown up to proportions that no one really expected. You used to be able to buy base set Charizards for less than $20, about $10 to $15 for okay condition cards, anywhere up from to like $20 or $15 to $20 for nice condition cards. However, this was back in 2010, 2011, when the hobby was really coming out of that lull moment. So you had the WotC era in the 90s, which was red hot. Once you started diving into the mid 2000s, especially like 2002, 2010, 2002 you still had some stuff lingering around, but mid 2000s up to about really 2012, 2013, it was pretty much kind of a lull. Now, myself and a couple others of us, a pretty decent handful, we started coming back into the hobby around 2010, 2011, I feel. Some people just never stopped, so that's kind of crazy. Some of these big guys you see today, some of them haven't stopped. Some of the big guys you see today didn't even start until Pokemon Go came out. So that's kind of where I'm getting at. So, early 2000s, kind of a low moment. Coming out of the 10s, 2010, 2015 was kind of an okay moment. We started seeing a little growth here and there. But 2016, when Pokemon Go came out, a huge flood of people came back into the hobby. I feel like it was a lot of people who loved Pokemon, who loved the game, who wanted to get back into the hobby and start collecting. Right around that time, we had a set called Evolutions, which was the first time we have seen like true reprints of base set cards since the original era. So we had the original base set and then like a base set 2, which is like a reprint of that set. We've had a couple like Charizard reprints. There was a set called Stormfront where they reprinted the Charizard, but the artwork was a little different. This Evolution set was really the first time we've seen a large scale of the original base set cards be reprinted. So that, coupled with the hype of Pokemon Go and a lot of people coming back to the hobby, it really got the ball rolling. Year over year, we started to see kind of constant growth. It was more like a wave like this, kind of slowly going up. It wasn't like a sharp increase. Back then, it sure seemed like a sharp increase because it kind of came out of nowhere. Everyone thought it was a bubble because it was so big, but it turns out that bubble never really popped. It just kept going, and here we are today. We've seen steady growth. For some reason in 2020, this, among all things bad in 2020, that is definitely not the case for Pokemon. Now, granted, some of the newer products are seeing some print run issues where they're kind of limited with COVID and they're kind of backed up. PSA, of course, with grading cards, they're of course backed up. They were backed up in the first place because so many people are joining this hobby right now and sending in cards. But 2020 for Pokemon collecting, especially if you already had been collecting, is very good. Now, here we are about a month ago. We see Logan Paul, we see Logic, we see Gary Vee, we see Justin Bieber before that. All these people have came into the hobby and just really took it to a whole nother level. Like I said, this is something that we have been talking about for a while, but now that it's here, I mean, it's rolling. So that's where you come in. If you're a new collector, where the hell do you start in all this? You know, you're not... you don't have the money that maybe Gary Vee has or Logan Paul. Maybe you do. But if you're looking for what to buy, how to start that collection, this video is for you. So if you're still watching, here's the actual advice. Sorry for going on so long. I just felt like if you're new to the hobby, that's where I want to focus this video towards, and you need to know kind of where the hobby's at right now. So the most important about that whole thing is exactly that. Where is the hobby at right now? This is the all-time high, highest that it's ever been. We do not know where the market's going to go. A month from now, you might be trying to sell your cards as quick as possible just to get what you can from them. That likely will not happen. I predict that if there is a pullback, we will never see a pullback down to the prices before this. We might see a slight pullback because everyone's just trying to grab everything they can. And we might be seeing some like market manipulation going on. But the hobby is healthier than ever. Here we are. How in the hell do you start your Pokemon collection? Well, it's all about the HAP, the HAP. You gotta have the HAP. What is the HAP? The HAP is an acronym for have a plan. Have a plan. Just like my notes here on these parts of the series. You always have to have a plan in life to be successful, to get something done, to get a job done, to plan for your future, to invest for your future. Everything has a plan if you want to do it strategically and successfully. So why is Pokemon any different? Well, it's not. I tell you what, I've been collecting a long time, and having a plan is something that I struggle with sometimes, but it is obviously like the most important thing that I need to stick with and kind of reiterate every time I'm looking to buy something. So having a plan is basically, in Pokemon rather, is basically knowing what your collection goals are. Do not deter from those goals. If you have if you're wanting to collect the original base set your goal to have that base set. Decide what condition cards you want to have. Decide what graded cards you want to have. Make a plan up front before, this is really important, before you buy anything. Because once you get to buying, once you see stuff on eBay, once you watch a video like this and you hear of a card that you never heard of before, you see it on eBay for a decent price that you can afford, you click it. You click another card, you click another card. Before you know, you have an entire stack of cards that you don't really even need in your collection, and now you're pondering selling off these cards in order for you to finish your first goal in the first place. So that's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid getting all mixed up in the hype of cards. Really do your research, guys, and this is so important. There's so many people that messaged me here recently that are so hyped right now in the hobby that they really want to jump in as fast as they can, literally asking me, what should I buy? I might show them a few options that are good modern sets that are cheaper than base set. In this video, I really won't be doing that. I might give some examples here in a minute, but really have a plan. Now, that's the biggest part of how you start collecting. Now, some tools that can help you with that is, of course, Bulbapedia. This is by far the most important website. It's a really cut and dry website. It's Wikipedia for Pokemon, bulbapedia.com. And I'm going to have some screens here I'll show you. So there's a few very specific pages. There's a page for every single TCG set. There's a page for every single like Japanese promo, unnumbered Japanese promo, all the way back to like 1995 or when it all started. So everything you can find is on Bulbapedia. This is where you learn about the trophy cards, or how the trophy cards were given out. Every single heir that you can possibly get in base set that's more well known is on here. Granted, there's still some stuff even us longtime collectors today are still finding with some sets. So just keep that in mind. There's some really weird heirs that have just gone unnoticed, or just are so rare that they've never been brought up before. Some things haven't been opened on camera that, we don't even know where they come from, or we kind of have a good idea, but we can't confirm it because no one's actually opened it on camera. So that's kind of the biggest thing. You want to do your research on all this stuff. It's going to be a lot. It's going to take you weeks or months if you're really taking this seriously. Most people don't stick with it that long. You find something you like, you really got an impulse. I feel like a good spot to start if you are looking at Wizards of the Coast stuff is, of course, any of the sets. There's also a Poke Collector or Pokelector. That's another good website. I'll have all these websites down in the description, of course, but that's another website where you can literally go through every set all the way back to base set, see the actual picture of the card there, see what you like. But as far as information and talking about the set, talking about the cards, talking about the history, maybe it was the first set that had full arts or something, it'll be on Bulbapedia. So maybe if you're looking for set cards, you can look at Pokelector and then go on Bulbapedia to find out more about that. Now, another place to kind of scan the entire hobby as a whole, the best place for that is probably the E4 Pro Boards. This is a website that a lot of giant and big collectors, longtime collectors, new collectors, people who just started collecting yesterday, everybody as a whole is gathered here. This is probably like the best spot for the Pokemon community, paired with the Discord for that community. It's just such a cool place, guys. If you're really interested in getting into the hobby, especially for the love of the hobby and what it's really meant to be, join us over there and start some conversations. It's just a really good place to show off your cards, to talk about cards, speculate on items, watch eBay listings. It's just awesome all around. So between those places, you're kind of getting some information on what to buy and how to go about collecting. I'm going to go over storage options or how to buy those cards in the next parts. I just wanted to kind of give a sweeping overview of the hobby for this, kind of tell you about how to start collecting. Most people, if they're buying cards, they're going on eBay for the most part. That's just, what you see across the board. eBay is kind of the place to go. If you're looking for set singles, you might reach out to other websites like Troll and Toad or D&A Card World. There's a couple websites like that. Like I said, gonna have links in the description. So that's where you could find cards that are like less than $1. I mean, a lot of cards aren't getting less than $1 nowadays, but you can find buy a bulk order of cards to fill your sets that way. But for the most part, if it's a card that's worth much anything, like over $2 to $5 for sure, you're probably going to be buying it on eBay. The thing is with those Troll and Toad sites and D&A Card World, you can't really see the card. Like, they have a scan of the card, but you have to reach out to them to see every aspect of the card. They might have multiple copies, and nothing bad on them, but they're just a huge company. And can you imagine the inventory they already had? They had a ton of inventory. They were like the biggest company in card dealing, and all of a sudden you have this flood of people. So they just got a lot on their plate. So on eBay, you typically see smaller companies or smaller individual sellers that can really take pictures or answer your questions and stuff like that. So there's a lot of negative vibes with eBay for some reason. Now, eBay is really good for the buyer. Of course, when you buy something, you at least want to make sure that you have a good seller with decent feedback. I mean, anything over 50, unless it's like a super expensive card, if they have 50 feedback, it's like, whatever. Then you can use your gut on the other stuff. If all their feedback is positive, for granted, a lot of people are starting out to sell cards now. So in general, you're going to have positive vibes with eBay. As long as you're careful, as long as you're only buying stuff that has good pictures that you can really tell the condition on. That's the biggest thing right now, is finding cards in good condition on eBay. There are likely not that many out there. Got to watch people saying near mint. People can say anything they want on the title, so that's another thing. Don't buy a near mint card just because it says near mint. Really do your research. HAP, you got to have that HAP. Have a plan. When you're looking at this card, scan the card with your eyes, look at everything, look at the description. It's just common sense in the long run, but you got to avoid those impulses that you have when you're looking at all these cards. So that's how you start collecting. But when you decide something, or you decide, I want this, how do you go about buying that? And I'm going to show you that in part 2, guys. Like I said, it's going to be a 4 or 5 part series. So hope that helped. There's many, and many more cards out there than just set cards. So if you don't want set cards, there's many options. You probably don't even know half of them out there. I don't even know half of them out there. I have to go through Bubblepedia and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that card. I saw that way back when. I don't remember anything about it. Let me read again. So it's like so many Japanese exclusive artworks, a lot of contest cards from back then, only available in Japan. Anything you can imagine. The biggest card in the Pokemon hobby, the Pokemon Illustrator, was given out for a illustration contest to different age groups. And there's rumored to be anywhere from 30 to 50 of those, or even less, because some just disappear over the years or get destroyed or thrown away. Big mistake there. But yeah, that was only for Japan residents way back when the hobby first started. So that's what you're dealing with this stuff, guys. There's just a huge horizon that I am eager to show you guys or help you manage to weave your way through. So hopefully you will join me in part 2, and we'll see you then. Peace.